Okay, so we're going to make a little sketchbook out of a paper grocery bag. So you can see here I have my new grocery bag, and I'm going to need a scissors. And this is the sketchbook that we can make using a grocery bag. So you can see this new grocery bag that I have happens to be one that doesn't have any like store design on it at all. But this one here did have a store design on part of the bag. And I've kind of made the store design part be out here on the back of the sketchbook. And it means that my covers ended up this green color, which is great. I'm going to make a second video that shows you if you have glue and maybe a cracker box, or this came out of the bottom of my cat food in my house. I'm going to show you how to take and make a hard cover for the book, or kind of a hard cover for the book in a second video. But this one, you can see that this is going to work just fine for me to draw on. If I want a bigger sheet, I can flatten this out and draw on multiple sheets at the same time. If I want a smaller space, I can just work on a smaller space. And this way, if you don't have a sketchbook or haven't been able to find some kind of tablet of paper, you're going to be able to make one using a grocery bag. So here's how this works. I am taking my grocery bag. I need to get the handles off if you have the kind of grocery bag that has the handles. So you can see that was pretty quick. All I did was stick my finger underneath and just kind of loosen up that glue. I don't want to rip the paper underneath, so I am trying to be careful about just peeling that off and getting rid of the handles. Ta-da! Those I can get rid of. Step 2 is I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut down the middle. So I'm going to try to find the middle of my bag. If it doesn't end up exactly in the middle, it's not that big a deal. I did also find this seam section. That's another thing you can do, is you just cut straight down that seam. However you do it, it's fine. The other sketchbook that I made, I cut down a corner. So, and now what I need to do is I need to get rid of, the receipt for my groceries. But I need to get rid of the bottom of the bag. So you can see here, this is the bag bottom. Open this up. And I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to put it right here on this fold for where the bottom is. And I'm just going to cut this off. The bottom of the bag will also just go in the trash. And this gets easier. It's the first couple of cuts that are a little tricky because it still wants to be a bag. So what I'm doing is loosening or taking the bottom off so that I can have just this big piece of grocery bag paper. Grocery bag paper is actually quite nice. It's got a little bit of a texture, so it works really good for pencil and colored pencil and crayon. It's sort of heavyweight. So it will work pretty great for paint too, if you have paint. This is the bottom of the bag. I can also throw that in the bin. Okay, so now I have this really big piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is fold it in half, hot dog style. Okay, so I'm going to take this bag, and it doesn't all fit on my camera, but you can see it's like long and skinny now. And hot dog style in half. Do have to kind of wrangle with the foldy bits. So I'm going to get this evened up, my edges evened up, try to get my corner evened up. Doesn't have to be super perfect, but the more even you get it, the more like kind of even your little book will be later, I guess. And once I have it fairly even up, I'm going to go ahead and crease this down, a little section at a time. Okay, so hot dog style, which means I start here and go, it's a really long piece of paper. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it folded up hot dog style. We'll cut that eventually, but I'm going to start folding it in half. We're making basically what ends up being a modified accordion book. So I have folded this in half. And now I'm going to take this top flap and I'm going to fold it in half so that it meets the edge of this first fold. Starting to run into some of the folds from the original grocery bag. So kind of making that. So here's this top section and I have this long. I'm going to flip this over now and I'm going to fold this last section in half over the top. If I want a bigger sketchbook, in all honesty, I could stop here. I wouldn't have to keep folding. I thought, so you can see that this is half the size of my first sketchbook. I kind of liked the idea of this being small enough to like put in a purse and or keep with your art supplies. Like if you have your art supplies in a little box or a little bag, remember I asked you to gather those and kind of keep them together in one spot so you knew where to find them each day for your art class. This is kind of a smaller little sketchbook. Like I said, the final step, the cutting step, remains the same if you opt to leave your sketchbook a little bit bigger. I want this one to be smaller as well. So what I'm going to do is continue to fold. So just like I did before, I'm going to fold this edge in half. So I'm lining it up with the folded edge that's here, and I'm giving this a fold. Now I'm going to open, so this is the flap that I just folded. I'm going to open the whole thing up like this, and I'm going to fold things to this middle line now. So I'm folding to that center line. I'm going to take this side, oops, I didn't fold that other bit. Fold that to the center line. And I have this extra piece that I'm going to fold in into the center line. Now when I pick this up, I'm going to fold it the other direction. And you can see it's now about the size of my hand. It's a nice little size for a sketchbook. But it doesn't open like a sketchbook yet. So what I need to do, this is where the next part of the scissors comes in, is I am going to cut now. So all the way down this center line. So right here, I'm going to put my scissors in the center fold and I'm going to cut. All the way until I get to the very last fold. So here is the end of my book. I'm going to stop when I get right here. Stop right there. This will keep your book together. So now what I'm going to do is pick this up and fold my paper back in half. Okay, so it's all back in half and you can see now it has two halves, two parts. I'm going to fold this part over here and now what I'm going to do is reverse these. So I need this to go every other direction. So I'm just refolding these. So that my paper it's like a fan fold if you've ever made a fan, right? So now they go every other one, so I can page through. And I'm going to do the same thing now with this extra part. So here's my last section. This is the one where I didn't cut the fold. So you can see here's the fold at the top. And I'm going to fold these guys back up too. And there you go. I have my sketchbook. I can see that it goes, you know, every other one. It's a little irregular at the top, but it will be fine. I am not going to worry about it being perfect. It is good enough. If you have, like I said, some little bit extra supplies, if you have cardboard, or you can see this is a little short, if you have a cereal box, you can cut and glue those on to make your book be harder. The other thing you can do is you can take your handle and you can glue it here so that your book stays more traditional page fold. And I'll make a second video on that as well. But here we go, sketchbook from a grocery bag. Hope you have fun.